And we're here live. Thanks everyone for joining us. My name is Tara. I'm the director of Kobo Writing Life for English language, and I'm here to host another live Q&A with Kobo Writing Life. And this month we have Clayton Noblit from Written Word Media. Welcome, Clayton.
Hey, Tara. Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much for joining us. So if anyone is here watching live and if you have questions, feel free to drop them into the chat throughout. Let us know where you're coming from. That's always really fun for me to see where everyone's viewing in from. And we'll pick and choose the questions as they come through and try and get to all of them that we can. So to give you a little introduction, Clayton, you are a digital marketing manager at Written Word Media, a book promotion company. After starting your marketing career at a fintech startup, you joined Written Word Media and instantly became fascinated with self-publishing and ebook marketing. You have told us when you're not working on ways to sell more books that you're probably playing some sort of sport or making cocktails with your wife. What sport and what's your favorite cocktail? Tell us that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I like almost all team sports, I would say. Since lockdown has eased in North Carolina, I've been playing soccer and basketball with some friends.
Oh, nice.
Really, yeah, and any sport with teammates, I tend to enjoy.
Nice. And your go-to cocktail?
A Negroni, I would say.
Nice choice. So if anyone isn't familiar with Written Word Media, could you tell us a little about Written Word and about you as well and how you came to kind of work there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start with Written Word as a company. And so we are a book promotion service. And so what that means is we have email lists of readers, and authors can pay to have their books sent to our readers. And so when a reader comes to Written Word Media, they sign up for our email newsletter and they say, hey, I read books on a Kindle and I like romance books and I like mystery books. And those are the only types of books they'll ever receive from us. So when you book a promotion with us, you're getting your book in front of readers that specifically read where your book is available and like your genre. So it's a very targeted promotion. And we have a number of different ways that authors can promote their books. Probably our biggest site is called FreeBooksy. And so a FreeBooksy promo is for books that are free. And so if you make your book free on Amazon or another retailer and want to promote it, you can book a FreeBooksy promotion. We'll send it out to our list of readers, and you'll get a ton of downloads and really shoot up the charts of whatever retailer you're trying to improve your ranking on. Our second biggest site is called BargainBooksy. And it's for promoting books priced between 99 cents and $4.99. Very similar to FreeBooksy, you sign up, an author can book the promotion, tell us what genre they're promoting in, and we'll send their book out to readers that are interested in that genre. And so we have a number of different genres people can promote on FreeBooksy and BargainBooksy. A really popular promotion we also have is called Red Feather Romance, and that is for steamy romance audiobooks. And so that's the only genre we promote there, but it is extremely effective. And we now also promote steamy romance audiobooks with Red Feather. So I encourage authors to check out that option as well. We also have New in Books, which is for promoting new releases, so books that have been released in the past 60 days. And then finally, we have Audio Thicket, which is for promoting audiobooks in several different genres.
You guys are very, very busy. There's so many things there. And I think sometimes that authors might not realize that this is all from Written Word Media. Like FreeBooksy might be very familiar to them, or BargainBooksy, but they might not see the connection in the back end.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that we're trying to let authors know about. Like, hey, if you trust BargainBooksy, you can also trust these other brands. It's the same people behind them. And so that's definitely something we're trying to improve and make that more well-known for authors. But yeah, I think Written Word Media as a company, one of the reasons I really like working here is that we really care about our results for authors and getting the best possible performance with our promotions. And that's really important for me. I come from a customer service background when I first started my professional career. And so nobody wants to work for a company that isn't interested in their customers' best interests. And so one thing I really like about Written Word Media is we're very conscious about getting the best results for authors and pricing our promos to meet the same results, right? So our promos are priced differently by genre depending on how many readers we have interested in that genre. And so I think that's one thing that's really exciting about Written Word Media.
Yeah, and Catherine Fox just had a comment. Hi, Catherine, as well. One of our Canadian authors, that she had no idea that it was all from Written Word Media. So this is good that we're getting the word out there.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. We're always working on new things as well. We're starting some Facebook ads tests as well. So you book a book promotion with us, we could also run some Facebook ads for you. That's something we're working on in the future. And so we're constantly trying to come up with new ways to sell books.
Nice. So let's start with maybe the first one, the free book see that might be the most popular or most well known, I guess. Is there a genre that you see that does better than this? And does this tend to work for like perma-free, or is it timed free? Like, is there any insights that you have about kind of best tactics for using this?
Yeah. So perma-free or limited time free both work extremely well. As long as the book is free when the promotion runs, it'll do well. And yeah, our different genres have different performances, and it's really just based on how big the list is for each genre. And so if you go to writtenwordmedia.com and start clicking through to book a free Booksy promotion, you can see the list sizes for each genre, and then each genre will be priced differently depending on the list size. And so one genre that we see perform really consistently well is cozy mystery. We also tend to have inventory.
I've noticed I noticed a big uptick in cozy mystery of late in like being published, and just like readers really looking for this, that it's almost like it's a book that's like a warm hug because you kind of know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think after 2020, we could all use a warm hug. So I think that makes sense. So cozy mystery is one genre where we tend to have a lot of inventory available. We're not sold out a lot. And we tend to get really, really good results. So that's cozy mystery authors. I recommend you look into that. And then, all our romance genres do extremely well as well. And, mystery thriller. I think we tend to do pretty well with most genres. And I think, even if one genre doesn't perform as well as another, it will be priced less. So it's all proportional, and you're not going to pay to reach a reader that isn't interested in your genre.
Yeah, and I guess the part of it is that you're targeting the specific readers. So each genre should be successful because you're really only targeting the people that want to read that specific genre.
Yes, yeah, precisely. And so that's something that I also really enjoy. Some people might say, "Oh, I'm paying to reach a list of 1 million readers, and it's going out to every single one of them." But 800,000 of those people might not like your genre. And so, it's a really targeted promotion. I think that's why we get such good results.
And how competitive is it for an author to apply to these promotions? What sort of competition? Like, are they going to get it on first attempt, or is it kind of a really persistence and patience being the key?
Yeah. So, one thing we try to do is we try to be kind of an entryway for authors that don't have much experience promoting in the past, as well as being a good resource for authors that are more experienced and have done a lot of marketing. So we have, fewer review or rating requirements than some other promotion sites. And really, an author can log into our site, click promote, and then choose their genre and which day they want to run their book. Our team will review the book and make sure we think it's going to do well. So, if we think an author could maybe do better in another genre, or could maybe change their description or something like that, we'll email the author and make a suggestion. We run hundreds of promotions every week, so we tend to know what we're doing. And so, we're not super restrictive around who can run a promotion with us. And that's one thing I really like, because, if you're a new author and you have to get 5 reviews to promote with the site, how are you going to get those reviews without running a promotion or doing some marketing? It can be pretty difficult. I like to think that most authors can have a promotion with us.
That's awesome. That's really good to know. And Wendy has a comment here just saying that she just had a series promo on her cozy mysteries yesterday and that she was very happy with it.
Oh, excellent. Yes. Oh, yeah. One thing to note is our series promos. This is something that our CEO, Ricky Woolman, came up with last spring. And it's where if you have a series on Amazon or another retailer, we will send readers to your series page. And so your series page on Amazon is really exciting because it just has your books on it. If you go to a normal Amazon book page, it'll have the book at the top and then a ton of, also bots and advertisements for other books beneath it. Your series page doesn't have any of that. It just has your series and your books. And so when readers see that page, they can say, "Oh, this first book is free or discounted. Oh, but I can just buy the whole series for this amount. I might just do that." And so we tend to see really, really good results with our series promos.
That kind of sinks into another question from Valerie that came up here, that there has been some feedback from wide authors that the series page goes to Amazon because, like you said, that they have that one series page, but it only goes to the book one on other retailers. Can you confirm that, or if that is just maybe something to do with the retailers? Like, for instance, I know that Kobo doesn't have a specific series page, but we could definitely like send it to the search of the series result. Is that perhaps why?
Yeah, it's retailer specific, and so I think one thing we've learned with Amazon is that if every retailer could have a specific series page, it would be extremely beneficial for authors.
Yeah.
And so if you're on a retailer that we support that has a series page, we will send readers to that series page. Just unfortunately, not every retailer has that right now.
And if you're on Kobo and you're kind of curious maybe what your series page looks like as an author, if you have a book that's part of the series and you go to the main product page, you'll see that your series is hyperlinked. And if you click on this, it'll bring you to a search of all of the books in that series. So that might be just a helpful thing to note in regard to the series pages specifically. It's kind of a little workaround for Kobo. We're getting some great questions. I'm going to keep going with these as we're coming in. How does literary fiction do on written word?
Well, it varies by site. And so I haven't looked at our recent statistics, but I think, if you have a new release in literary fiction, new in books tends to do pretty well. We've actually run some partnerships with some small publishers, and our new in books audience does very, very well with literary fiction. And also Bargain Booksy, I think, tends to perform pretty well with Litfic as well. I think the Bargain Booksy audience, since they're more accustomed to paying for books, they might have a higher value associated. And so I think the LitFit audience does pretty well.
Okay, yeah. And what's the price requirement for Bargain Booksy?
Just between 99 cents and $4.99. So it does have to be, on the cheaper side of things. But if you're running a reduced price promotion or something like that, then Bargain Booksy is a great option.
It's good that it's the $4.99 though, because I know, for instance, on Kobo Writing Life, that if your book is priced from $2.99 up, you're earning that 70% on each sale. So there does give you that $2 window there. And if it's below $2.99, it's 45%. But that's sort of a good thing to note, that if you wanted to pick the 70% option, that you could still take part in the Bargain Booksy promos.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a very intentional decision, from us to make sure authors have that option. Of course, if you price your book lower, you're going to get more purchases with Bargain Booksy. Higher, you'll probably get fewer, but like you said, you might earn more revenue. So that's one of those things that every author is going to see different results. And so, if you do well the first time, you might want to do the same thing again, or you might want to change your price and see how things change and see what works best for you.
Nice. We have one more question about this series from Anna Castle here. Just saying that she's not finding an easy way to put the other wide retailer series pages. Is there an email that perhaps that she could ask that? Or if you happen to know the question or the answer off the top of your head?
Yeah. So we're still working in our system to put in the fields for every single retailer. But what we'll do is, if she can put in the Amazon series page, our team will actually go and find all the series pages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, we'll put in that work for you. And if she just wants to make 100% sure we get them all, she can just email us info@writtenwordmedia.com and just say, hey, I booked a series promotion. Here are all my series pages. Our team will really appreciate that because it saves them work, and you'll be sure that we get all the series pages in there.
Right. That's a great tip. That's good to know. And Valerie also says that she has an audio thicket promo today, by the way, and she's really excited about it.
Excellent.
Thanks. So there's many promotional options that you talked about that are there, and then the audio thicket being the audiobook ones as well. Is there generally one that's more popular than the other? Like we talked about Free Booksy a little bit, but when it comes to like how are your audio promotions stacking up to your ebooks? Is it more difficult to build that or listenership list?
Yeah, certainly. So I think Audio Thicket has a much smaller audience than our other sites. And we're always working on adding readers or listeners to our brands every month. That's a big part of my job. And so Audio Thicket is certainly smaller, but the promotions are priced appropriately to make up for the lower audience size. And so we definitely hope that Audio Thicket will continue to grow and we'll get list sizes as big as you see on Bargain Booksy and Free Booksy. But right now it's certainly smaller. If you are a steamy romance author and you have an audiobook, though, the Red Feather Romance audiobook promotions are performing extremely well, and we've gotten great feedback from those. So that's one audience that's definitely on the larger side that is interested in audiobooks.
Awesome. And if you have any audiobooks at all, you can publish those through Kobo Writing Live. That we have the direct audiobook upload, steamy or non-steamy. We will take all of the genres. So yeah, and then you can apply for these different promotional opportunities. That's really great. I had a question about launch packages, and also a question has come in about the new release promotions. I think this is really interesting, that you have like these offers available for like a book launch. Could you talk to us a little bit about what's involved in that? And then also if would you think this is more suited to a brand new author that's trying to get their footing, or would it be like a more well-known author, or does it really depend?
Yeah, I think, as far as a newer author or a more experienced author, I think it depends. I think one great thing about New in Books is it's run by our brand manager, Grant. And he's been running New in Books for a long time now, and he has a really good finger on what the audience likes and what performs well. And so one thing you're getting when you book the book launch with New in Books is you're getting this really curated experience from Grant, where he's going to really pay attention to your book and how that's going to fit with our audience. And so you're getting the promotion on the list. You might get a promotion on another brand as well. And then you're getting a ton of social media attention as well. And so the book launch package includes quite a lot. And then something that's hard to get across is how individualized and personalized it is. And also Grant is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to book promotion. And so I think he develops a ton of really good relationships with authors. And so they'll come back to him in the future and be like, hey, I launched this book with you guys last year. What should I do now? And he'll be like, oh, well, I think this would do really well on Bargain Booksy in this genre. And so New in Books it's a really special brand, I think, because we have that kind of personalized relationship with every author that uses it.
Yeah, I think so. And there's a comment in the chat here that says that they've always found the customer support of Written Word to be really excellent. So I'm sure Grant is exactly the same with that. In terms of the new releases, do you have stats into like read through and things like that? Is that any data that you can provide to authors? Like, for instance, if it was the first series in a book and they're promoting the other series books down the line, like, do you track them, or is it always considered kind of like individual promotions?
So it's always kind of considered individual promotions, and we just don't have the insight into how many readers buy one book and then buy another from an author. I think authors will have a better shot at calculating their own read through, though it's no easy thing to do. But that would be data we would love to see, and it would help us inform our promotion. So if authors have feedback around how much read through they get when promoting a series with us, that would be fantastic for us to hear. So if you just have that information and want to help us out, we'd love to hear it. But unfortunately, we don't have much visibility there.
Yeah, okay, no worries. And another promotion, I feel like it's just, I mean, this is essentially what you guys do, but I'm just saying promotion. But one thing that I noticed was the reading stacks for subscription services. So as Kobo sort of moved into some subscription services in Canada and Belgium and the Netherlands with Kobo Plus. So it's sort of an interesting new readership, and we see definitely it being more and more popular. So how does your promotions work for that? I think this might be Amazon based, but I'm just kind of curious to see how you promote and how do you find that subscription reader?
Yeah, so the subscription reader is all through targeting. And so, we'll talk to readers that subscribe to our other brands and see if they have any, subscription audio services that they use. And then we'll also just, use targeting on Facebook, custom audiences, and some other proprietary ad techniques to find those readers. I think that's one big advantage we have as being a big promotion site is we have really large audiences, and we can build lookalikes and target those audiences. And that's something that's a lot more difficult if you're an author and don't have the budget of a company. So I think that's one advantage we have around building lists.
And I think, just the fact that you have multiple platforms as well just means that the audience is really a wide audience.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think the audio audience, we haven't found kind of one subscription service that is just kind of like gangbusters. I think with with Amazon on ebooks, Amazon's definitely the dominant retailer. We're seeing more and more retailers get more and more popular with our other brands. I think we're seeing more authors decide to go wide. And so that's interesting. I think with audio, we're still kind of figuring out, or maybe there just isn't a really dominant audio retailer.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that's growing, and you can see Kobo's audiobook sort of increasing each year, and yeah, excited to see it kind of growing throughout.
Yeah.
That kind of brings me through to my next question, actually. And this came from the blog, that somebody had a question about the worldwide reach of these promotions. They had a specific question for Turkey, but are these promotions English language only? And do you have do you know how many countries that you're hitting with these?
Yeah. So actually, our promotions are US only. And so that just helps us with the linking in different stores across countries. So if we were to promote a book on Amazon and wanted to target several different countries, the targeting gets infinitely more complex and difficult. So right now everything is US only, and I think we see really good performance from that. But yeah, I think expanding internationally would be something that we would look to do in the future. I think we're hearing, especially in 2020, the international ebook market really grew. So I think that's something that's really exciting for authors. Unfortunately, right now, written word media is going to be US only. So you're reaching readers in the United States.
Do you think that you would expand to non-English readers kind of soon-ish, or is the focus to sort of really make this the best experience that it can be just in the US?
We don't have any concrete plans right now. We're always focused.
I put you on the spot with that one.
It's totally fine. Yeah, so no concrete plans right now, but we're always focused on providing the best experience for authors, and so making our promotions as good as they can be in the US is always a focus. But then, of course, if there's a huge market out there that we think we could get into and help authors with, that's also of interest to us. So I wouldn't rule anything out, but no concrete plans.
Nice. Jennifer has a question here saying, would running a promotion help to seed a mailing list for an author? I would have to say no, because I assume that you're not sharing your customer details.
Correct. Yeah. So when you book a promotion with us, we won't send you the emails of the customers that are seeing your book. I think it could help seed your email list if you include links to your email list in your back matter or your Amazon page, something like that. But I wouldn't say that would be a primary result of a promotion with us. The primary results are going to be downloads and purchases.
Yeah. And I guess that's sort of a way that it can be worked in tangent with any other promotions that the authors are doing.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it's great to hear the authors are focusing on building an email list, because we certainly see great results with an email list. And if you can build one on your own as an author of dedicated fans that will read kind of every book that you put out, it's a fantastic resource. It's a great way to get early reviews and ratings on your books, which can be really important from people that like your writing. And also, once you have an email list, it's really cheap to reach those people. You don't have to pay a lot, especially if you're below. I think MailChimp's freed up to 500 people or something like that. So you might not even have to pay anything to reach those readers. So I think every author should be trying to build an email list if they can.
And what would be your secret? What's the secret to a really good email list?
Ooh, interesting. So the secret to building a really good email list or sending a really good email?
Building a list. Let's go with that. That seems to be the harder. These writers already know how to write great emails. But
yes, that's true.
Building the list can be more challenging.
Yes, absolutely. So I think the key to building an email list for an author is to have a way to identify who really likes your work and then reach them. And so it's stuff that you hear all the time, like putting your email list in your back matter, and having maybe a Facebook page or group where readers can find you, and then posting consistently and getting your website and email list out there. And so it's having ways for readers to find you, and then once they find you, follow you. And then once they follow you on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, then you can send them links to your email list, and then they'll sign up for your email list, and then you kind of really have their email in a way to contact them directly.
Nice. That's great. Peter is telling us that he's unloading the groceries, I assume, while listening to this. So that's really great. And Anna says, thanks for the wealth of knowledge that she's going to be boosting her 2 already published series with written word throughout the year.
Thanks, Anna.
Yeah. So let's pivot. So we've talked we've talked a lot about promotion so far. But one other thing that I really love about written word media is your blog and your newsletters yourself. You guys know how to write a very good email. You have a great kind of wealth of customers, but you also have a wealth of author knowledge. And I really like the surveys that you've been doing and the work around kind of helping authors learn what is involved in becoming successful as an independent author. So there was a couple of posts that I thought was really interesting. The one that I think was a few months ago that sort of showed the 5 stages of an author. And I noticed that it has evolved from like 3 stages previously. So I'm wondering if you could talk about this and maybe let's break down the 5 stages and any findings that you have that might be interesting to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, we do a survey most years of authors and just kind of figure out what's going on with them, how much they're earning, how much they're writing, anything else we think we might like to know. So first of all, thank you to all the authors that participate in these surveys. None of this would be possible without them. So we're very indebted to them. And so, yeah, we're obligated and happy to put out this information after we do these surveys. And so I think 2 years ago, we did a survey and we kind of broke down authors into 3 stages based on how much they are earning. And of course, how much you're earning is just one way to measure success as an author. And so, if that's not what you're interested in, that doesn't mean you should be interested in making as much money. We just think that most of our customers are pretty interested in income. And so that's what we decided to focus on. I think our lowest bucket 2 years ago was $0 to $60,000 a year. And that's a pretty big bucket, right? There's a lot of room between 0 and 60K a year. And so some of the feedback we got from that survey was, hey, I'm in the 60K bucket, but I'm making 20K. How do I get to 25? Like, what's the difference there? And so we decided last year to break it down into more stages and make it more and more granular.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's based on author feedback. And so, we'll probably ramp up to do another survey maybe late summer this year. And so if anybody watching this has any ideas or questions they want to know about their fellow authors, shoot us an email, info@writtenwordmedia.com, and let us know. We're always kind of taking suggestions. This is for authors. So if there's something you want to know that we can work into our survey, we'd love to do it. And so, yeah, this past year in 2020, we broke down authors into 5 stages, and we did it by earnings per month. So authors earning between $0 and $249 a month. And so these authors on average had published 6 books, which is actually still a lot of books, right?
Oh, yeah.
That is no joke. And so, they're making between $0 and $250 a month. And they're spending about 16 hours writing a week. So these are serious writers, right? They've published 6 books and they're spending a lot of time every week writing. They're very, very likely to have a day job or be supported by a spouse or partner, which makes sense. It's hard to live off of $250 a month. And these authors tend to spend around between $0 and $100 on cover design. And so that's kind of a big differentiator. When we go up to the next author stage, those making between $250 and $1,000 a month, those authors on average spend between $100 and $500 on cover design. So it's kind of this big jump that happens. So move more on stage 2, these authors making between $250 and $1,000 a month. They've published 17 books as compared to 6 in stage 1. So that is a massive jump. And granted, this it's a little bit bigger gap, 250 to 1,000.
Yeah.
But it is
this lifetime published or in that year? It's lifetime.
Lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I just asking. I'm like 17. Like some authors do that, but
I know. Yeah. So some of these romance authors are incredibly productive. It's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So these authors, have published a lot of books and they're writing even more. They're writing about 23 hours a week, which is more than 16 in stage 1. And they're spending a decent amount more on cover design. Almost all of them are spending more than stage 1 authors. So we think that could maybe be an indication that these authors either are making more and therefore they're able to spend more on covers, or maybe they started to spend more on covers and saw the benefits of that. So it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing there that I think every author will kind of have to figure out for themselves. And one jump we see in stage 2 as well is that 65% are using free promotion as opposed to just 55% in stage 1. And so we think this is probably because if you've written 17 books, you likely have a series. And we know that free promotion is very effective if you have a first book in a series that you can make free, then have readers like that book, and then continue on with the rest of the series. So we think that makes a lot of sense. Authors in stage 2 are also much more likely to have an audiobook published. So in stage 1, about 22% had published an audiobook. In stage 2, 55% had published an audiobook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so both those numbers are almost higher than I expected. I think authors are really pivoting to audio.
Yeah. Do you think that's a cost thing, that because the audiobook production can be so expensive that it's like you're earning a little bit more, so you're going to, it's like the cover, right? That you're actually investing it more than rather maybe doing it as a side project, or at least preparing to invest more?
Yeah, I think that's a great call out, much like the cover. And of course, this question was, have you published an audiobook? Not, are you publishing many, many audiobooks?
Yeah.
So, it's at least, the authors are at least experimenting with it, and it's probably because of the increased income. And so those are kind of the big differences between stage 1 and 2. Moving on to stage 3, this is authors making between $1,000 and $5,000 a month. So quite a bit more than stage 1 and 2. And so these authors are much more likely to support themselves from their writing, which makes a lot of sense. They're making a good income from their writing. And they have published on average 29 books, so almost 30 books. So once again, no joke. They are actually spending about the same time every week writing as authors in stage 2, about 23 hours a week. So they're not actually writing many more hours every week, but they've likely just been at it for longer and have published more books as a result.
I wonder, something that might be interesting is to see how many hours they spend marketing in each stage.
Yes,
especially for indies.
Yeah, so I have that data as well.
Okay.
In stage 1, they're sending an average about 6 hours a week marketing. In stages 2 and 3, they're spending about 10 hours a week.
Okay.
And so 10 hours a week of marketing, like that is no joke. I do marketing full time, and it's pretty exhausting. And especially when if you're on a streak where things aren't going very well, it's very hard to wake up every day and be like, okay, let's try again, see if this works. So these authors are putting in the work. And also something that is exciting to us is the most effective marketing channel for these authors. We had them rank different marketing channels. So for example, promo sites, Facebook ads, BookBub ads. Stages 1 through 3, their most effective marketing channel was promo sites like Written Word Media. So granted, a lot of these are our customers, so it's probably a little bit skewed there. But that was really, really exciting for us to see. And then moving on to stage 4, these are authors making between $5,000 and $10,000 a month. So doing quite well. And they have on average published 36 books, and they're spending about 26 hours a week writing. So just a few more hours every week writing.
That's interesting that it doesn't change that much, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So the writing really kind of caps out at 29 hours, which is the last stage. And so stage 1 authors are doing about 16 hours a week. Stage 2 is 23. Stage 3 is 23 hours. Stage 4 is 26. And stage 5 is 29. So even authors that are making over $10,000 a month are not spending more than 29 hours a week writing. And so 20 hours a week, that's pretty close to a full-time job there. So
yeah, like that's your 5-6 hour day. Like
yeah, absolutely. But I think it is nice because sometimes I'll see comments around people saying they're spending 60 hours a week writing, and I think it's good to know that hey, that's not necessarily realistic. That's pretty difficult.
You would burn out pretty quickly from
absolutely, that. Absolutely. And so once again, in stage 4, authors are spending about 13 hours a week, a little bit less than 13 hours a week on marketing. And stage 5, they're also spending around 13 hours a week. So marketing doesn't increase a ton from stages 2 to 5. Though, of course, those authors in stage 5 making over $10,000 every month are more likely to pay somebody else to do marketing for them. So there is kind of, if you're not into the marketing, if you're quite successful, eventually you can pay somebody else to do it for you. So that's good to see.
can just just get somebody to do all the kind of tedious work and
Yes,
then
yes,
spend your time writing.
absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, I think those are kind of the big differences there. We see, authors as they're making more and have more books published, they tend to use free promotions more, which, as we discussed earlier, makes a lot of sense. They're probably more likely to have series. And then authors in stage 4 and 5, their most effective marketing channel is BookBub deals. So those are much harder to get for less experienced authors. But once you're kind of at this kind of elite tier of authors, you can start to get BookBub deals, and those are really, really successful for these authors.
Nice. This is really valuable information, and I appreciate that you guys do these surveys. It's always really interesting. And at Kobo, yeah, we dive into these when you release them.
Great.
I'm curious, do you have the percentage of authors that are the majority in tiers 1 to 2? Or what's the percentage of that tier 5 author?
Oh, like how many authors surveyed were in tier 5?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, just to see the kind of balance. Are the majority of our authors stage 3, or is it a handful of authors doing extremely well, or is it a ton of authors doing really, really well?
Yeah, so I don't have the percentages off the top of my head. I think we didn't want to put that out just because this is not a representative sample of authors overall.
Yeah, it could be interpreted kind of as a disheartening fact, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't have that information. I believe roughly in our survey, as each stage progressed, we had fewer and fewer authors in each stage. So most authors surveyed were in stage 1, then stage 2, then stage 3. But once again, it's not a representative sample, so I can't claim scientific validity with this survey.
Yeah, no worries. And another post that I thought was quite interesting was work that you'd seen around changes in 2020. And I know perhaps we're tired of talking about changes in 2020 and the pandemic that is never ending. But I'm just sort of curious because, we saw some changes at Kobo. I was curious about maybe a main change that kind of jumped out at you. And then also, have you noticed in 2021 so far, as we're in Q2 now, has this begun to wind down, or is there any difference from 2021 to 2020 so far?
Yeah. So kind of one trend that we think we're going to see in 2021, and we thought we started to see in 2020, was more retailers competing against Amazon for kind of that dominant spot. And so you see, Apple and Google kind of revamping their author portals and making things more accessible for authors, which is really exciting. And then Apple in particular really making a push for readers as well. And I think they're really well poised to do that because so many people have iPhones and read on iPhones, that Apple really has a great opportunity there. And so I think competition among these big companies is only going to be a really good thing for authors. So I think that's one thing that authors can be excited about. I think that's really good. And I think you'll see more changes at Amazon as they feel a little bit more pressured from these other retailers. So we just saw Amazon announce Kindle Vella, the serialized reading platform. And so I think more competition leads to more innovation, and that's going to be good for authors. So I think that's one thing authors can be excited about.
Yeah, I think it's great that there's these other platforms, like Apple and Google, kind of putting a bit more of a focus on books, because as proponents of wide publishing, we're really encouraging you to get your books out into as many readers' hands as possible, and getting your name out in as many places just helps to build your readership there. And like we're saying, competition is really good. It shouldn't be seen as a downtrodden way to look at things. And then I think also we've noticed at Kobo that there's a lot more people that had potentially been independently publishing for quite some time, but are coming wide for the first time. So having to spend the time to learn these different retailers and things like that. So are you seeing the same with written word, or do you have that data?
I don't have any data to back that up, but anecdotally, I know, just kind of, having my finger on the pulse of what's going on, I see more and more authors talking about going wide and, testing it out. I think there's some frustration with Amazon, and kind of their restrictions and KDP Select. And so, a platform like Apple saying hey, you're going to get 70% royalty and you control the price completely. That's a pretty big deal. So I think I tend to think authors are testing out wide or going wide more. I don't have any data to support that claim necessarily.
Yeah, I think the same from just chatting to authors. But what I think is kind of interesting is the idea of using moving a book wide to have it as a second book launch. And what are your learnings that you can take from when you did initially launch if you had just gone on one retailer day one? It's a really good opportunity to like, how could your covers change? How can you take advantage of written word media's promotional opportunities? Do you have any restrictions around the launch packages to like rebrands or anything like that? Does it have to be a specific, like, never released book?
Yeah, I believe it has to be brand new in the last 60 days.
Oh,
But
okay.
if the book has had little traction and you're kind of re-releasing it on multiple platforms, I think we would consider it. So if you think your book might be an exception, definitely email us, info at Written Word Media, and ask us. We've got a great team. But that's kind of, we really want to have brand new books for that audience. But, if you're re-releasing your book on another platform and want to book a bargain Booksy or a free Booksy promotion, you will get access to another segment of readers that read on that platform. So that's a great thing to do as well.
Yeah. Jody said it's really interesting to hear the numbers showing the writing time plus marketing time, that it adds up to about 40 hours a week. So this is like the full-time work that people are doing. Wendy says that wide authors really want wide retailers to succeed. And yes, I second that. I think we all want wide to succeed and for there to be healthy competition and for just basically to get these books out in front of as many people as possible. Bruce says, Clayton, thank you for mentioning how exhausting marketing for authors can get, that his friends and family just don't really seem to get it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we see in these surveys every year is across every author stage, no matter how we break them down, every stage says the most difficult part of being an author is marketing. So no matter what, it's always marketing is the most difficult thing about being an author. And that makes a lot of sense. Marketing is, especially digital marketing, is very different. I think, I'm not an author, so I can't compare honestly, but kind of the creative flow of writing a book and then changing to, analyzing data and clicks and impressions. I think it's a pretty big shift. And I don't think a lot of authors start writing a book being like, oh, I can't wait to see my Facebook click-through rate on this ad when I finally finish this book, So
yeah, it's really not for everyone to dig into the analysis of these sorts of numbers. They just, like, some authors just want to keep writing.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, more power to them. That's great. I love to read, so please keep writing. We love it.
Yeah. But that sort of leans into one other thing that I wanted to chat to you about, is that you guys have a section about mindset for authors. And I kind of think this is like really a valuable thing and something that can be overlooked from time to time about like helping authors have a positive mindset. Did this come about from like authors asking for it? Like, was it coming from a need for authors that you saw?
No, it wasn't coming from a need that was expressed to us directly from authors, but I think it just comes from being a marketing company. We see how difficult marketing is, and we do it professionally. So, if I have a difficult time with marketing, or I do an ad and it performs very well, or I write a blog post and somebody's like, "Oh, this was terrible," like that's tough for me. And so, somebody who is maybe less confident in their marketing, it seems like it would just be much, much more difficult. And so, as an author, you also don't have a team around you. I have, coworkers and, our great CEO, Ricky, who can help lift me up or be like, okay, well, I'll help you do this then. And, as an author, you're kind of all on your own. You might not have experience with marketing. So the mindset piece just kind of seemed like a no-brainer because it's important for us as a company. So we think it can really help authors as well.
Was there anything that you wanted to highlight specifically that you think would be helpful in terms of mindset?
Yeah, I mean, really the most important thing that we tend to get the most kind of reaction to is what I said earlier, is that just marketing is hard for every author. And so kind of, I think authors tend to feel alone when they're marketing, and especially when things don't go well, could be like, because you tend to hear about other people's success. You don't tend to hear about their failures. And so I think knowing that almost every author struggles at least at some point with their marketing can be really, really empowering, can help you be a little less hard on yourself when things don't go well. So, if you run an ad and it doesn't perform well, instead of being like, oh no, like I'm a disaster, this reflects on me as a person, maybe you can kind of laugh at it and be like, oh, I'm once again, I'm one of those authors that's just trying to figure this out. I'm no different than anybody else, and I should just try again. I think, yeah, it's really difficult to be an author to begin with, and then marketing is kind of another layer on top of that that's really difficult to handle. So I think just knowing that many people struggle with that, including me, who's a professional marketer, can help you be a little bit easier on yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And like I love working with the indie community because they're so open and really do try and help other people succeed. But yes, there might be an aspect of sharing wins more than sharing things that didn't quite go to plan.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a natural human instinct, right?
Yes.
I much prefer to tell people about things that I've done that have worked out great than things that have gone poorly. So I don't think there's anything malicious about it. It's just kind of how humans are. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I really enjoy talking to authors and hearing their ideas and things that they've tried with marketing. I actually had an interview with an author last fall, and she had actually made trailers for her books by building the world for her book in the Sims video game. And
I love that.
It kind of blew my mind. It was so creative, so smart, and kind of her reader base, she thought, would be familiar with the game and react positively to it. So it just really, really impressed me. So there's always kind of like fun, funky things that authors come up with that I'm always really inspired by. So I think there's a lot of cool creativity coming out of the book marketing industry as well.
Oh my God, I love that so much. Now I want to play Sims again. I had to ban myself from doing it because, my Sim was getting smarter and smarter and reading all these books, whereas I was just sitting in front of the computer making them do it. But I think for a book trailer, that's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hats off to them. There's a couple more questions here as we're sort of winding down. So if you have any more, please pop them in. So one question was about standalone book promotions. And I'd imagine that none of your promotional opportunities really restrict a book, whether it's a standalone or a series. We just probably tend to see more series than standalones. But do you have any kind of comments or thoughts on promoting a standalone title?
Yeah. So we promote tons of standalone titles. I just talked about that series promo because it's a new thing and it does see a lot of good results. But every other promotion we have can be a standalone book, and we promote lots of standalone books. I think one thing about standalone is that free might be a little less effective for you because you might not have as many books for readers to easily buy next. I think if you have a large catalog and you have a way to get readers to follow you and to find your other books, standalone can be pretty effective with free, but free might just not be as effective if you have a series. So I would encourage you to test out free and see how it does, but maybe not make it a cornerstone of your strategy. But if you have a standalone book and want to promote it with us, I think Bargain Booksy will really give you some really good results. There's absolutely no issue with having a standalone book.
Yeah, and perhaps the new in books as well, if it is a new release.
Absolutely.
We have a question from Abel Muse asking, do you have a promo website for poetry? And yeah, I'd be curious myself to see a lot of poetry or nonfiction titles that go through Bargain Booksy, written word media.
Yeah, so we don't have a promotion site for poetry. We do offer nonfiction promotions. I think those tend to be on the cheaper side on our promotion scale. The audience isn't quite as big for them. So we don't have anything specific for poetry, but I think that's something interesting to look into for the future. I think a ton of authors are really interested in poetry. I see a lot of fiction writers that also write poetry. So I think the demand from authors is certainly there. And I think, kind of finding that reader audience that is also interested could be really powerful. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I missed this question earlier, so my apologies to Lawrence. It says, I have 21 thrillers and mysteries in 3 series that are self-published on Amazon. A few are now on Kobo. What can written word do for me? So my first comment would be to get more of those on Kobo. So you're hitting up more of those readers. But what would you suggest for thrillers and mysteries in series?
Yeah, so our mystery and thriller audience is extremely engaged on both Free Booksy and Bargain Booksy. And so if he has a series, I would recommend running a series promotion. On FreeBooksy, the series promotions just do really well. And the more books you have in your series, the more potential there is for revenue. So I would really encourage him to check out the mystery series promo on FreeBooksy for those books. The series promo is of course more expensive because of the results it gets. And so if you're not looking to spend that much, you could also just do a single book promo with FreeBooksy and get those readers hooked on that first book, and then they'll kind of read through to the rest of the series. So yeah, especially if you have a longer series, I think he said 3 series with 21 books, so maybe 7 books a series or so. I think a free book promotion could do quite well.
Nice. And it doesn't have to be a perma-free either, right? I think sometimes there's a misconception that, customers would always expect that, but you can definitely do just a timed period free.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. We only require the book to be free for the 24 hours after the email goes out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, of course, you'll probably want to make it 3 days just to make sure that it's actually free, because, of course, if you send out the book to our readers and it isn't free when they click on it, they're expecting free, so they'll be less likely to buy. So, you'll want to have at least 3 days or so of it being free. But yeah, there's absolutely no requirement for it to be always free.
Nice. So what is next for written word media? You've mentioned you're starting Facebook ads. So would this be something that is included in the different promotions, or a separate kind of Facebook ad feature for authors?
Yeah, so I think what it'll probably look like is authors will be able to add on Facebook ads to their promotions.
Cool.
So, we really like this idea of a promo stack, where you run one promotion and then add on some ads on top of that, and you kind of get this halo effect with the retailers where your rankings really increase, and then you get even more downloads from people that are just seeing it at the top of the charts. So I think it'll probably look like an add-on, at least at the start. We're still kind of experimenting with it, but that's something that we're really excited about. We're seeing some really good results. And yeah, as far as the company overall, I think really just continuing to build these reader lists and providing the value to authors is really what is core to us. Our number one value, we have it up on the wall in the office back when we went to the office, but it is support the author. And so I think continuing to grow the lists and provide good value to authors is always something that we're really interested in.
I love that. That's on a wall in your office. It just says support the author. That's really great.
Yeah, I really, when I was first interviewing at Written Word Media, I really liked that a lot. Made it clear that it was a place that I'd want to work. So yeah, I love that as well.
Nice. So we're looking forward to Facebook ads in the future. And if authors would like to find out more, where can they find out about you and Written Word itself?
Yeah, so they can just go to writtenwordmedia.com. And so they can sign up for our email list there. We just have a little sign up link. We send out a monthly newsletter. That's all me. The newsletter comes from me. So if you want to get an email every month from me, you can sign up for that. You can unsubscribe at any time, of course. You can also book a promotion on the site. And then, like you mentioned earlier, we have a really great blog that I'm really proud of, that we have just a ton of resources, great stuff around mindset. So if you get a bad review on a book and you're feeling down, go check out our mindset section and get a little pick me up and get your mind right and get back to writing. We have a ton of book marketing knowledge as well. That's kind of where we view our expertise. So we have a ton of marketing knowledge that we're putting out there. And then, of course, our author surveys are really popular as well. So our blog is really fun, I think.
Nice. And the next author survey you said will be in the fall?
Yeah, I think it'll probably come out in the fall. I haven't quite planned out the exact date or anything. But yeah, I'll be conducting that and working on it, and we'll definitely do one in 2021. So if you want to participate in it, sign up for the email list, and you'll definitely get a link for the survey.
Awesome. I look forward to that, and hopefully maybe we can have you back on again to chat about those survey results if there's anything that's really well, I mean, the whole thing is interesting, really. I'm the person that wants all the data because I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
I want to analyze all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be really fun.
Has working with authors made you want to try your hand at writing at all, Clayton? Or is because marketing is a lot of storytelling and writing, so you definitely have the ability.
Yeah. Honestly, it absolutely has. I think my family, growing up, we were big into reading. My parents were very much, no video games, very little TV. we would go to the library every week and fill up, I think, 4 different grocery bags with books. And then the next week, we were with that family that everybody's like staring at, like, what is going on there? So we're just kind of reading fiends. And so, yeah, I think working with authors and getting closer to how everything works has definitely made me kind of interested in it. I don't have any firm plans to write anything. I'm definitely more interested than I've ever been.
Nice. Well, one more question to put you on the spot is, what's the last book that you've read that you really enjoyed?
Ooh, okay. So I've been reading this blockbuster series called The Expanse. It's a science fiction series. I think it's actually a TV show on Amazon too. So it's really big name authors. And I just finished book 8, and book 9 is not out yet. So yeah, I guess I'll have
waiting
to wait for that. Yeah, but it was one of those books where I was reading it at like 9:03 a.m. and being like, oh, I need to stop reading and get to work, but I just can't. So
reading a book before work is the real dedication.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, well, some thank yous in the comments there from Margaret and Catherine, and from some others. So thank you all for listening and taking part. If you have any additional questions, you can ask writinglife@kobo.com. And I think it was info@writtenwordmedia.com. Is that correct?
That's it.
All right, great. Well, thanks so much. And hopefully we'll see you back very soon, Clayton.
Great. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye.